Let's get sweaty.
Hey guys, welcome to a Shenmue Dojo video. Today's video, I'm going to be taking us back in time a little bit, and we're going to be looking at Shenmue cameos in video games across the years. So we're going to go all the way back to probably about 1999, all the way up to present day-ish, where Shenmue has been referenced or made cameo appearances in other video games, mostly Sega titles over the years. Now, it is a bit of a throwback because at the moment, Sega don't seem to be particularly interested in recognising Shenmue in any way, shape or form. And with Virtua Fighter 6 or whatever you want to call it coming out very soon, again, it would be a prime opportunity for some sort of Shenmue cameo, DLC, whatever, to happen. But let's park that for a minute and let's go back to fonder times, shall we say. And we're going to go back and look through quite a large list of titles here. This list is pretty extensive. I don't know if it's all of them. I've done as much research as I can. I've got screenshots where I can, where I haven't. You just might have to trust me just a tiny little bit. But where possible, I've got evidence to show everybody as well. And at the end, if anybody wants to let me know of ones that I've missed, I'm not going to get funny about it. Just let me know. And if there's enough of them, I will do a follow-up video. If you think back to the Shenmue fan games videos that I did a follow-up to that. This will be in that similar sort of vein as well. So if there's any kicking around that I've missed, let me know. We'll pick them up and I will do another video if there's enough of them to do so. So we're going to dive in. I'm going to go in date order. So this is going all the way back first and then all the way through to present day. And we're going to just crack in and get on with this. So starting first and foremost, 1999, the 1st of February, we had Shenmue referenced in Virtua Cop 2. Now, people are going, but that was on the Sega Saturn, how can you reference Shenmue? Now, this was out originally on Dreamcast as well later on. So obviously, as I said, Virtua Cop was on the Sega Saturn, but later on it was released as part of the Sega Smash Pack. And this came, as I said, on 1st of February 1999, and there are a couple of Shenmue references there for it. So the first reference, as you're going down the escalators, as you're fighting your way through, there is like a poster of Ryo and Shenhua as you go down the escalators there. And then later on, you're in the car chase on top of one of the buildings, there's a billboard that it just has, again, another poster of Shenmue up there. So this was sort of advertisement for the upcoming release of the Shenmue game. So it hadn't come out at this point, but it was just sort of, you know what, we're going to make a lot of advertising out of this, make use of our games. Perfect sense. Let's do it in one of ours. And the Smash Pack is where you can find it and play through that accordingly through Virtua Cop 2. Moving on, we then come on to a release date title in the United States. This was 9/9/1999, and this is in ESPN NFL 2000 on the Dreamcast. And we have our good friend Ryo Hazuki as one of the roster players in the game itself. You've also got Beat from Jet Set Radio and Kagemaru from Virtua Fighter as well. But yes, Ryo makes an appearance in this game. If you check out the Shenmue AM2 podcast, they've delved into all of this, how you get it, and done a video on all of this, and I'll link that below as well so you can pick that up as you go through. But that's quite a fun little nod, I guess, to Shenmue. It's strange, but you can literally play as Ryo in the game. I think his stats are okay. I haven't ever got it myself, I must say, but again, just a fun little nod as we get things going. Then next up, Fur Fighters on the Dreamcast. So this was released on June 23rd, 2000 in the PAL regions, July 11th in the year 2000 in the United States. And you've got a Shenmue, so it's like Moo the cow, I guess. There's a billboard or a board of Shenmue. Don't know why, but there's, yeah, very strange little reference, I guess. But again, it's there and it's kicking around. Nice little nod to the Shenmue franchise as well. Coming on, I've got Segagaga. Now this, many people have seen, it's been translated into English fairly recently, I think. It was a Japanese-exclusive Dreamcast game released on the 29th of March 2001. So this was very much a tongue-in-cheek Sega poking fun at itself, its financial woes, and everything else in between it. Loads of Sega characters, and they just take the mickey out of themselves, basically. And Ryo appears in one of the game's many comedic scenarios where players encounter sort of other Sega characters. And in this segment or segments, he laments about his fate as protagonist, that he's an unfinished epic, which is still probably applicable these days, I guess. And it's a very cheeky nod to Shenmue's story not being finished at the time, and obviously now still hasn't been finished. I haven't been able to obtain any sort of screenshot of this, but if anybody has one, obviously do let me know, and I'm more than happy to pop that in of another video and put it on Twitter or somewhere with a little credit there for the person who's done that. Coming on, Virtua Cop 3. Now, this was an arcade-only release in March 2003. I haven't got gameplay footage of this because I couldn't get the emulator to work properly for when I wanted to do this video. But again, if anybody's got the screenshot of it, please do share this. So the girl outside the Ling Ling porridge shop with the panda shirt makes an appearance. She's running away as you're shooting crap up as you're running through the levels. And also the dance kid in the green shorts also makes an appearance somewhere in there as well. I don't quite know why they've chucked in these characters from Shenmue in Virtua Cop 3. But again, good fun. That title should have been released on console as well. It's a brilliant game, Virtua Cop 3. Love it. I mean, I love all the Virtua Cop titles. But go and check that out if you haven't played it. If you can get an emulator working, do let me know, because I had some issues with it. Probably just me being inherently useless with technology and those emulator sorts of things, I guess, as well. Moving away from that anyway, and me being useless with emulators, Virtua Quest is the next title. So this was on the GameCube and PlayStation 2. It was released on August 26, 2004 in Japan, January 2005 in North America. I couldn't find a European release date, but if someone obviously has that, do let me know. And you have the Wanchai section of Shenmue in the game. You can just walk through it, essentially. That's exactly what it is. And I've picked up 2 screenshots here of that. So you've got one of the characters sort of running through past a load of the shops. I think it looks like Wise Man's Quarter from a very quick look at it. And then the second screenshot, you are sort of between buildings in the Wanchai area. Very odd that they've done this. I don't know why. Again, I'm not complaining about it. It's just interesting all the same, but it's very clear it's Wanchai from Shenmue. There's no two ways about this one. Cool little nod all the same. And I think Virtua Quest, it's probably one of those games that may have got better with age. I don't think it reviewed particularly well at the time. I've never played it, but if anybody has any sort of thoughts on that game, do drop us a comment. I'm more than happy to talk about it, because I know nothing about the game, essentially. But I do know something about this game. Outrun 2006. This was released on the Xbox and PlayStation 2 on the 31st of March 2006, and later 2006 elsewhere. And you, as you are speeding through the various levels, this was a Ryo Hazuki title for the Xbox, and it's a great game, really good game actually. Underrated is probably my opinion here. You can play it in the arcades as well, and you have a sort of a little nod to the Jet Cola branding, I guess, as you're speeding through one of the levels on the right hand side of the level. So that is a nice little nod, and from Ryo Hazuki as well. You can kind of expect it. Coming on, so then Virtua Fighter 5. Now this I was on PlayStation 3. It was a release title. I remember picking it up many years ago with my PlayStation 3. So this released in February 2007 in Japan and North America, March 2007 in the PAL regions. And what you've got here on one of the levels, I think it's Sarah Bryant's level from memory, but I could be wrong on that, is as the camera sort of panning around you fighting, you can see the MJQ Jazz Bar. And this is in the original release of Virtua Fighter 5 on the PS3. I don't know if it makes an appearance in the Xbox version, which was released a bit later, and I'm damn sure that it isn't there. It's been removed from further sort of iterations of Virtua Fighter 5, and certainly the more recent versions like Revo and Ultimate Showdown, it 100% has been removed for some unbeknown reason, probably because Sega just don't want to recognise Shenmue, but I will leave that passive-aggressive talk there for now. But you can quite clearly see in the screenshot, MJQ Jazz Bar, it's there. Again, great game as well, Virtua Fighter 5. Really enjoyed it. Release title for PlayStation 3. It was one of the first titles I picked up for that console. Absolutely superb game. Moving on, I've then got Sonic Riders Zero Gravity R. PlayStation 2 and Wii. This was released in Japan and North America in January 2008, which is, God, that's getting old now, isn't it? We are moving through, but I still feel old saying this. And in Europe, February 2008. And you have a Shenmue billboard, which can be seen in the 90s Boulevard level. It's like a blink and you miss it. You move pretty quickly, but in that screenshot, you can clearly see the Shenmue artwork from Shenmue 1. Looks pretty cool to see it again. So we're working through these references, and there's quite a few kicking around in games already. So at this point in time, Sega were very much in the, let's recognise Shenmue, let's talk about Shenmue a little bit, even if they weren't really doing anything about it. But then we move on, I guess. This isn't really a reference or cameo. This is blatant. I'm coming on to Sega All-Stars Racing and Transformed, so I'm going to do them both together. All-Stars Racing came out in 2010, February 23rd, 2010. So you had, and Steve Lysett is a massive Shenmue fan. He did participate in the video for the 25th anniversary for me. Massive Shenmue fan. I've got a lot of time for Steve. And Ryo Hazuki was on his motorbike in Sega All-Stars Racing. You obviously had his forklift. Then in Transformed, he had 3 iterations of himself, which was he had his hang-on boat, afterburner aeroplane, and his Outrun car. Now, the Outrun car was also fun because the Shenmue 3 number plate on it, which was essentially a little joke, a little nod to Shenmue and Shenmue 3 and everything else. And that was a really cool way to put Ryo into that Transform game as well. Using those arcade cabinets, using that classic history, it fitted perfectly. And if they're going to do more of these games, I'd love to see how they could put Ryo into these games going forward as well. That's really cool. And as I say, Steve Lysett Sumo's a big Shenmue fan anyway, so it makes a lot of sense that they would do something like that. So then I'm going to move on to our friendly Yakuza titles. Now, this is Yakuza 4, released in Japan on the 18th of March 2010. This was on, I think, PlayStation 3 over there, and it was definitely on PlayStation 3 in the Western releases, which was a year later. And you have a couple of Shenmue references. Now, this one I ummed about putting in, but looking at it, it very much looks like the logo of the Phoenix or the Dragon in one of the shops in the Yakuza game, in Yakuza 4. Nice little reference there. I'm guessing it is from that. I picked this up from the old .NET forums, and it was pretty much a consensus this was a reference to it. And then much loosely, I guess, reference Shenmue later on is there's a little nod to a side quest within it going, it's got Girls Gone Wild in Yokosuka rather. You got Ryoko Hazuki, age 18, who's a Sagittarius, which does fit Ryo. Just a very loose nod, I guess, to Shenmue. Very interesting that they did something like that, but very easily missable, I guess, as well as you move through the Yakuza game. The side quest itself is missable. Now, the next one, I don't unfortunately have a screenshot for. I couldn't find anything anywhere. This is in a game called Saturday Morning RPG. It is made and published by the people at Limited Run Games. This came out on iOS on the 5th of April 2012, and I believe made its way to Steam later on, although, again, I could be misremembering this. And there is a forklift brand called Hazuki in the game. So Josh over at Limited Run Games, as you all well know, he also was part of the 25th video. Is a big Shenmue fan, done loads of Shenmue stuff over the years, and obviously decided to honour Shenmue within his game as well. So the Hazuki brand forklift is there. And again, if anybody has a screenshot of that, do let me know, and I'm more than happy to pick that up. Then coming on to another mobile game, Crazy Taxi City Rush, which was released on the 13th of March 2014. Now, there are 2 references here, which is fantastic. The first is in a mission called Shore Leave. Now, I'm going to play a video for everybody in a minute that you can see that in action. But there essentially are loads of nods to Ryo's search for sailors in the Shenmue game. And there's also a little nod, I think, to feeding the cat as well. But let's play the video and you can see it for yourself. So there we have it, guys. That is the Shore Leave mission from Crazy Taxi City Rush. There is also a second reference to Shenmue, and it took me forever to find this screenshot, but I'm so glad I persevered and found it. This was posted, the screenshot was posted by 24 Nathan on our forums, and you can also see the tomato store makes an appearance in the game as well. Again, it's probably one of these blink and you miss it sort of things, I guess, but you can quite clearly see in the background there is the tomato store, and again, great reference to Shenmue, and I think it's pretty cool to see that in there. Moving on, we come on to Project X Zone 2. This is on the 3DS, 12th of November 2015. Ryo Hazuki makes a cameo with all his classic one-liners. Now, this originally popped up on the old .NET forums, and it was noted just randomly that Ryo Hazuki was in this game. Obviously, it started driving people to be talking about it. Now, this obviously came after the Kickstarter, but I'm guessing that Ryo was planned in this game before that, potentially. But you can see Ryo with his classic one-liners. So there's the titles, like the sort of the artwork, I guess, from the game. And then moving through, you can see Ryo in action beating people up as we move through. And then you've also got Ryo in sort of the art style of the game, and looks pretty cool all the same as well. Again, great little reference, much more blatant, but very cool to see all the same. Now this one, it took me again a while to find, but again, quite a cool reference. Is Kyoto Kobata, or Kotabata rather, sorry, I've butchered the name. It's an RPG, it was released in June 2018. It's basically during a Sega All-Stars collaboration event in June that year, and Ryo Hazuki appears, he's in the game. I couldn't find him in the game, but I do have the title screenshot, and he's in the top right of that shot that you can see on the screen. I love the art style here, actually, as well. I think they've sort of captured Ryo and also a lot of the other characters around that pretty damn well. So that was fantastic and awesome to see Ryo in that. Again, much more modern take, I guess, but again, still being talked about in Sega circles, I guess, at this point in time, which is also fantastic to see. We then come on to another mobile title. This was Sega Heroes, released on November the 14th, 2018. So we're getting a lot of sort of Shenmue references quite close together now, I guess. And you had Ryo, Shenhua, Tom, and Ren make appearances in this game, which is now defunct. I think it got shut down about a year or two later. But essentially, it was like a power-up sort of turn-based game on mobile where you level up your characters, fight other characters, and make your way through the story. I never played it. I never downloaded it for whatever reason at the time. But you can see that Ryo and Shenhua are obviously in the game, and there's an action shot as well with what's going on. And essentially what you do, I think, looking at it, and again, I didn't play it, is you sort of collect jewels, power up, and then take your turn to attack, essentially. Never really my sort of thing, I guess, but Ryo is there with Shenhua, and as I say, Ren and Tom also made appearances in that game as well. A couple of years later, we then come on. Now, this is a bit of a, I'm going to call it a reference, I guess, but given this was Sega's 60th anniversary, they had a game online for the UFO catcher. Now, you would have seen these in the Yakuza titles over the years anyway. But what you do is you go along, you catch character, and it would pop up with some information about the character. So Ryo made an appearance in this. This was on June the 3rd, 2020. It was released at 1 a.m. in the morning UK time, and it was only online for a few days, I think 6 days, and it finished on June the 9th, 2020, and you had a Shenmue collectible, and you basically get a little bit of information about Ryo in that particular game. Again, because it's Sega's 60th, I think they probably ought to almost had to reference Shenmue, but good to see it all the same, given that currently in modern times they don't tend to anywhere near as much. Then coming on to the next title, Puyo Puyo, which this was on 25th of January 2021. I don't have a screenshot for this, unfortunately, but Ryo Hazuki did make an appearance. Now, this I didn't know. I had to do some research around this. It's this Equestria and the Gintama collaboration boss event, Dream Satan Challenge, and in the Sega second collaboration event is what it is. I found this through the Shenmue wiki, if my memory serves me correctly. Didn't know anything about this whatsoever. This was part of my research to this video, so I was quite surprised to see Ryo make an appearance in that game. But again, great to see, superb, and again, more Shenmue references the better. Now, I'll come on to the last one before I'm going to talk about two sort of notable references in other areas, I guess, as well. So the last one, now most of you will have seen this anyway. This was just over a year ago, 25th January 2023, multi-platform, so Xbox, PC and PlayStation consoles. Ryo Hazuki, or Shenmue, is referenced in a podcast, and Yakuza, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. I will always call it Yakuza, it's just my brain and how it works, but Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Ryo is heavily referenced in this podcast episode, which I'm going to play for you right now.
You've been having your adventures over in Japan land, but I gotta tell you about this kid I met while you were gone. Made some real waves of his own about town.
Splish splash!
Yeah, so there I am, alright? It's about 6 a.m. or so. I'm sipping the morning coffee down at the harbor like I always do.
Early bird Mike, as they sometimes say.
Early bird? Dude, I went to bed like 3 hours earlier. Anyway, no word of introduction, no context. He comes up to me and he says, "Excuse me, do you know a place where sailors hang out?"
Sailors?
Yeah, sailors. Sailors. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't have any clue, but maybe there's a, by the harbor, so maybe that's a good place to ask around.
Okay, all right.
All right, so lo and behold, the kid turns around and immediately asks the 10 or 12 people down the line, bouncing from one to the other like a pinball, "Where are their sailors? Where are their sailors? Have you seen sailors? Anybody seen sailors?" And I'm like, enough with the sailors already. You're in a harbor. They're around here somewhere.
Aw, poor kid was probably lost or something, huh?
I don't know. He just looked like he was on a mission of some sort. I mean, you should have seen him. He had this leather jacket on with this big tiger emblem on it. Real slick. That's not even the half of it. A couple days later, I'm over at Hip Hop Shrimp, wolfing down the usual.
There's the kid.
That's right, there's the kid. Except this time, he's asking about a warehouse.
Think you found his sailors?
I don't know, but maybe they keep the sailors in the warehouse, so I don't know. He was too busy looking for some dumpy warehouse this time, so he asked every person on the street in about 2 minutes flat, just bam, 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 bam. We're talking like 50 plus people. Where is the warehouse?
Well, sounds like the kid gets around.
I know, and that's not even the worst part. You know that alley behind my house?
Get out of here.
So I'm back grilling one night a couple days later, and there he is.
Oh, tiger jacket strikes again.
Yeah, there I am, steaks about the sizzle, picturesque Hawaiian sunset, most beautiful pale blue and orange skyline you ever saw.
I've got some
drink
more
in
fight in
hand
me.
and getting ready to hoist it, and then whoosh, this kid comes galloping up the street, full sprint with the most heroic stride this side of the red, white, and blue. Oh, it's like he's on a paper route. He's hitting every single one of my neighbors up with questions about how he can hitch a boat ride out east, and where can he get a boat ride out east. And the next thing I see, he's beelining straight for me again.
Well, sounds like he got a lot of time on his hands.
It sure does.
You know we got airplanes out here?
I would imagine so, but maybe he doesn't, because frankly, at this point, I was so scared I dove into my pool to hide, aloha shirt, slippers, and all.
Oh, you crazy, Mike.
Look, it was fight or flight. This kid was a force of nature. Scared the living you-know-what out of me. Way too intense for this old Burbank original, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sounds like it, cuz, hope he made it back to the mainland.
Yeah, let's hope, because, kid, if you're listening, best of luck from me and Big P. Hope you find what you're looking for, and stay away from my house!
Yeah, stay away from Mike!
Now, at the time of this video and everything being put together, it created excitement. I can understand why. Now, a lot of people who work for RGG worked in AM2 and worked on the Shenmue series, so it's quite natural, I guess, for them to make Shenmue references within the games. I'll be very interested to see, potentially, if there are any further Shenmue references in the Like a Dragon Yakuza Pirate game, which is due out in a couple of weeks. That will be absolutely, brilliant to see if they do something like that, because, again, modern Sega recognizing Shenmue would just the icing on the cake, I think, to moving things forward potentially for the Shenmue series, and potentially just Sega just acknowledging it. That's what we want. We want Sega to acknowledge the history around Shenmue. So if they were to put it in a further Like a Dragon title, absolutely fantastic, and I'd love to see it. So that's the main references that I've been through, and I've been through these at quite a pace, trying to get all of these titles in as quickly as I can. But there are going to be two other sort of notable mentions. Now, the first one, again, this is like a blink and you miss it job, because I had to dig around for this. Back on the Xbox 360, you could buy as a customizable item for your avatars on there a Hazuki jacket. It was a few quid, wasn't hugely expensive, but again, cool to see something like that. I don't think it costs them very much to make these sorts of things. I don't understand why Sega won't do these sorts of things in their Virtua Fighter games or other titles, because for a few quid, I'm sure Shenmue fans would buy it and probably make enough money back on it to make it worthwhile. But again, back in the day, they would do something like this. I don't know how long it was online for, but I don't think you can get it now. And then the last reference I'm going to talk about is in all of the Sonic movies. You have the opening title screen with the Sega logo and everything. So what happens is it starts on Sonic and then sort of zooms out and zooms out and zooms out. And sort of to the top, sort of mid-left, you can see Shenhua when she's talking about the prophecy in the sort of a track screen of Shenmue 1. You can see her face turn to the camera as it sort of zooms out to show the Sega logo there as well. So again, they are at least acknowledging Shenmue, but I'd like them to acknowledge it a lot more. Anyway, guys, you've probably sat with me for a good 20 odd minutes there going through each of these titles, so thank you for sticking with me. As I said at the top of the video, if I've missed anything, please do let me know. And as I said, I'm more than happy to pick up an additional video if there is a large number of them that I have missed, because I think I want to document as many of these as I can for Shenmue history, for the archives, and also because it's just a fun rabbit hole to go down as well. As always, guys, drop us a comment, let me know what you think, and I'll happily pick those up. Now, as I say at the end of all of these videos, obviously thank you for dropping on the content for everybody. It is always appreciated by James and I. You are the reason we keep doing this. We keep pushing these videos out. We keep pushing the content forward. Obviously, we are working towards Shenmue 4, but you guys engaging the content just keeps us moving forward. And thank you so much for everybody who goes and does so. If you want to be a member, it's £2 a month. What you get for that is all of our videos outside the podcast ahead of the usual time frames. Otherwise, it goes to the normal scheduling systems, but nothing is locked behind that paywall. And anything that we make, I say make, goes towards the running costs of the website, competitions that James and I will put together, and other bits and pieces around making sure we get the content moving and as good as we can possibly get it. As always, guys, give us a like, share, subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and all the usual places that you can find us, including Blue Sky now. We're very active over there as well. And I will be back with a video in the not too distant future. But for now, guys, take care. Have a good one.